The ghost bride stands on the old stone bridge under the moonlit sky, her crimson wedding dress glowing against the misty landscape of Qinghe village. In the mountainous regions of southern China, where mist clings to the treetops like the whispered tales of old, the village of Qinghe thrived in its quiet isolation. A village known for its jade-green rivers and terraced fields, Qinghe harbored a chilling legend that no outsider could ignore. It was said that in the shadow of Mount Luoxiang, under the canopy of ancient trees, a restless spirit wandered, a bride in crimson, her face veiled in sorrow, her laughter chilling the bones of those who heard it. The villagers called her the Ghost Bride, a figure whose tragic tale was etched into the collective memory of Qinghe. Her story was one of love, betrayal, and vengeance, a tale that entwined the mortal and the supernatural in ways both heartbreaking and terrifying. Mei Lin of Qinghe. In the final years of the Qing dynasty, the village of Qinghe was a bustling hub of trade and tradition. Merchants from the nearby cities would stop at its vibrant marketplace, their goods brightening the humble stalls of the townsfolk. Among them was Zhao Feng, a wealthy silk merchant whose family was one of the most prominent in the village. Zhao Feng's youngest daughter, Mei Lin, was the jewel of Qinghe, a girl whose beauty was the subject of every whispered conversation. Mei Lin's porcelain-like face, framed by raven black hair, was often seen peeking out from behind the intricately carved windows of the Zhao mansion. Her delicate hands embroidered silk with patterns so exquisite they were said to rival those of the imperial workshops. But Mei Lin was more than just a beauty. Her sharp wit and yearning for knowledge set her apart from the other young women in the village. Still, as the daughter of a prominent family, her life was bound by duty. The traditions of Qinghe dictated that a woman's worth lay in her ability to marry well, and Zhao Feng was determined to secure a prosperous match for Mei Lin. A fateful encounter. The Lantern Festival in Qinghe was an annual spectacle that drew people from neighboring towns. On this magical night, the streets were lined with colorful lanterns, their warm glow reflecting in the rippling waters of the Qing River. It was on such a night that Mei Lin first met Li Wei, a scholar from the nearby town of Hanjing. The Lantern Festival in Qinghe comes alive with glowing lanterns and vibrant festivities as Mei Lin gazes at the floating lights on the river, a fleeting moment of joy before her life changes forever. Li Wei had come to Qinghe to visit his aunt, a respected herbalist who lived on the outskirts of the village. As the festival unfolded, Li Wei's scholarly demeanor gave way to boyish curiosity. His eyes caught sight of Mei Lin standing by a bridge, her crimson dress shimmering in the lantern light. It was as though time had paused. For Li Wei, the world shrank until it was just him and the radiant girl across the bridge. "Do you believe lanterns carry wishes to the heavens?" Li Wei asked, approaching her cautiously. Mei Lin turned, her expression a mixture of surprise and intrigue. "Only if the heavens are willing to listen," she replied with a small smile. That simple exchange marked the beginning of a love so deep that it defied reason. Over the following weeks, Li Wei and Mei Lin met in secret, sharing their dreams and fears beneath the ancient banyan trees of Qinghe. But their love, as pure as it was destined for heartbreak. The marriage proposal. Zhao Feng, unaware of his daughter's growing affections for Li Wei, had been negotiating a marriage proposal with General Wu, a retired military officer who owned vast lands in the region. General Wu was a man of considerable wealth and influence, but his reputation was far from noble. Whispers of his temper and cruelty circulated among the villagers, but Zhao Feng saw only the advantages of such an alliance. When Mei Lin learned of her father's plans, her heart sank. She pleaded with him, confessing her love for Li Wei, but Zhao Feng dismissed her feelings as foolishness. "A scholar offers poetry and promises," he said sternly. "A general offers protection and prosperity." Despite her protests, the marriage was arranged. General Wu sent an elaborate bridal gift to the Zhao family, gold ornaments, silk robes, and a jade hairpin said to have belonged to an empress. To the villagers, the match seemed like a dream. To Mei Lin, it was a nightmare. The lovers' defiance. Desperate, Mei Lin and Li Wei decided to elope. On the eve of her wedding, they planned to meet at the old stone bridge by the Qing River. Li Wei arrived first, carrying a small bundle of food and his cherished poetry scrolls. The minutes stretched into an eternity as he waited for Mei Lin, his heart pounding with both hope and fear. The ghost of Mei Lin drifts through the decaying halls of General Wu's estate, her sorrowful figure glowing faintly amid the chilling darkness and remnants of a forgotten past. When Mei Lin finally arrived, her eyes glistened with tears. "Li Wei," she whispered, throwing her arms around him. "We must leave tonight." But their moment of hope was short-lived. General Wu, suspicious of Mei Lin's reluctance, had sent his soldiers to spy on her. Before the couple could flee, the soldiers descended upon them like shadows. Li Wei fought valiantly, using a sturdy branch as his weapon, but he was no match for the trained men. They beat him mercilessly, leaving him bloodied and unconscious by the riverbank. Mei Lin's screams echoed through the night as she was dragged back to the Zhao mansion. The wedding of tears. The next morning, Mei Lin was forced to marry General Wu. The ceremony was a lavish affair, with red silk draping every corner of the Zhao mansion. Mei Lin, her face pale and tear-streaked beneath her bridal veil, moved through the rituals like a puppet. Her heart had died the night before, by the Qing River. As the days turned into weeks, Mei Lin found herself trapped in General Wu's oppressive household. He was possessive and violent, and Mei Lin's once vibrant spirit began to wither. She spent her days staring at the mountains, longing for freedom, and her nights crying silently in her chamber. Then came the news that shattered her completely: Li Wei had succumbed to his injuries. The boy who had once recited poems under the banyan tree was gone forever. That night, as a storm raged outside, Mei Lin made her decision. She tied a silk scarf to the wooden beam of her chamber and took her own life. The haunting. Mei Lin's death marked the beginning of a haunting that would plague General Wu's estate for years to come. On the night of her funeral, the servants reported hearing faint sobs echoing through the halls. Some claimed to see a shadowy figure dressed in crimson, her veil flowing like mist behind her. General Wu faces the wrath of Mei Lin's ghost in his dimly lit chamber, clutching a jade amulet as her spectral figure looms in quiet vengeance, sealing his fate. As the sightings grew more frequent, General Wu became increasingly paranoid. He claimed that Mei Lin's ghost visited him at night, her face pale as the moon, her eyes burning with sorrow and fury. His health deteriorated rapidly, and he took to locking himself in his chamber, clutching a jade amulet for protection. Despite numerous exorcisms performed by Taoist priests, Mei Lin's spirit remained. It was said that she sought justice, not just for herself but for all women who had suffered at the hands of men like General Wu. The curse. General Wu's end came on the anniversary of Mei Lin's death. That night, the estate was consumed by an unnatural cold. The servants awoke to the sound of shattering glass and found the general's lifeless body sprawled on the floor, his face twisted in terror. Word of his death spread quickly, and the estate was abandoned. Villagers whispered that Mei Lin's spirit had claimed her revenge, but her unrest continued. The ghost bride was no longer confined to the estate, she became a protector of wronged women, a harbinger of justice. The legend lives on. Generations later, the tale of the ghost bride is still told in Qinghai. During the Lantern Festival, villagers gather by the Qing River to release lanterns in her memory. The old stone bridge where Mei Lin and Li Wei once met remains a place of pilgrimage, its stones worn smooth by the footsteps of countless visitors. Villagers release glowing lanterns onto the jade green river during the Lantern Festival, honoring Mei Lin's memory and symbolizing hope, love, and the enduring power of her story. Though her spirit is feared, it is also respected. To the people of Qinghai, the ghost bride is both a warning and a symbol of resilience, a reminder that love, even in death, can wield unimaginable power.